Hello, guess who and guess what? The guess who is me, Robbie Susan Chandler, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Tallahassee, Florida. Well, almost Tallahassee, Florida. I'm actually from Quincy, Florida, which is right outside Tallahassee, Florida. I hold classes in my home, and if you live in the area, I would love for you to come over and join me for a class. So let's see what today's what is. It's this gorgeous card made with the Designer Series, Designer Series paper, Floral Delight Designer Series paper, and it looks like this. And I used several sheets out of it, like this one and some more. This one right here. I'll show you those pieces in a minute. But this is the pack right here, Floral Delight Designer Series paper. Okay, so let's look at the, well, I didn't open the card up. So here's the front, and I made a little flap here. You can pull this out, and then here's the inside with more of the designer paper in it, and the stamp set from Delightful Wishes that actually coordinates with this stamp set, with this designer paper. All right, let's take a look at our pieces for this one. Let me move my little sign out of the way. All right, we're going to start with a piece of Old Olive, and it is, let me turn it this way, 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it, let me turn it around, I scored it at 1 3/4 and 6. So 8.5, 5.5, scored at 1 3/4 and 6. And then you're just going to fold these pieces in like this. And I have the wider piece on this side and the narrow piece on the left. Alright, so that's our base. Now our pieces, like, let's start with the piece on the front, this one right here. And it's a piece of that DSP, and it's 1 5/8 by 5 3/8. And that just about covers that whole front panel like that. So there's that side, and then when you open it up, we have these two pieces, and the one on the skinny side over here is 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. And then I matched it with the same paper on this side that's 5 1/4 by 2 1/4. And I just adhered those there. Now my center section was a piece of basic white that started out at 5 1/2 and 4 1/4, and I cut it with a die from Textured Notes die. And I used this for 3 of my pieces, this being one of them, and I used the largest one for this one. And then my sentiment pieces right here on the front, I used this one to cut the Daffodil Delight one, and then the basic white one was cut with the smallest one. So those are the 3 pieces that I used from this texture note. I love this die set. I've really been using it quite a bit. Alright, so let's put that out of the way. So this would be our piece in the middle, and I've actually stamped this one already. And the stamps I used, the colors I used were Daffodil Delight and Old Olive. And this is the stamp set for the Wishing You a Happy Birthday, and the little flower right here. And then my front sentiment, Celebrating You Today, came from the Beside Me set. I like this one because you can use this on the front, and then inside you can put whatever you're celebrating them about for. Alright, let's move this out of the way. Okay, so we're going to start with just adhering these 2 pieces and this one. So that's the simple first step, just glue those down, and then you want to adhere your sentiment to the middle. Now the other pieces I didn't show you are these little strips you need to cut, and they're 1 by 2.5 inches, and you need 5 of them. Now when you're getting ready to fold these, and this is our design here, you want this design up. So I'm going to turn all these over because your flower design is going to fold to the front. Now you're going to do 3 of them, like 1, 2, 3, one direction, and you're going to fold the other 2, this one and this one, a different direction. That was a little confusing for my customers, but we finally got that figured out. If you're quilters, you probably know all this. So let's start with the one that we fold 3 of them. So you start with the upper left corner, and you just want to kind of crease it on that fold and just bring it down like that. By the way, I cut my finger on a can of cat food this morning. Silly, shouldn't have. Alright, so that, you fold that one down, and then the other corner you're going to fold the opposite direction. You don't want to fold it the same direction, you're going opposite. So just match up the sides and press it down. Alright, and it looks like this. And you're going to do the other two the same way. I've already folded some, so I'm not going to sit here and fold all these and have you watch me do them, since I already have these already folded over here. Let's see, you have to make sure you get them the right direction. That would be this one. Okay, now that's these three. Now let's go to the other one. So since we folded this corner down, this time we're going to fold the bottom corner up. And try to pinch that little corner there because you want that sharp. You don't want a wonky looking corner. And then that means you're going to fold this one down. Just like this. Okay. And obviously what takes the longest to do this card is folding these 5 strips of paper. Okay, so see, you've got this corner down, this corner up. And when you actually put these two together, you can see that they're opposites like that. So then we're going to do the other one the same way. So I have 2 of those already folded. So there's those 2, and then here's these 3. 1, 2, 3. I got 4 actually. Alright, now we've got that done. I'm going to set those aside. And let's pull back in this. So what you do, you lay, I think I'm going to open it up this way. So you're going to start up here at the top, and your first one is going to actually be the same direction as your edge, so it's just going to be parallel. And you want to leave a little tiny border. So you lay your first one, and then you get the opposite fold, and it's going to lay right up next to that one. So see, there's your first 2. And then you go back to your first fold, and it's going to lay right up next to that one. And then the opposite. And then finally you finish with the bottom one. Just like that. So that's why you have to go opposite folds to get this to work. And of course, I've already got one glued down right here. So you've got all these little flaps that are up. Can you see that? I'm not going to glue those down yet, and I'll show you why. So this is what we've got up to this point. And then you want to stamp your sentiment, and I put it on with dimensionals. Now here's why we haven't glued these down yet. You can decide where you want to put this. Now, for example, I could slip it under that one if you wanted it high. I could slip it under this one if you wanted it in the middle. Or I could slip it under this flap, which is what I did on this one. I slipped it right under there. So I kind of went low on this one. So that's why you don't want to glue these down yet. So I've already made basically made a decision on this one. I glued them all down except this one, and this one. And I have decided on this one I want to use the middle. So what we do, you're going to put a little bit of glue just on that outside flap. That looks like more than a little bit, so I'm going to share some of that under here. So you want to glue that side down, and then you want to go ahead and glue this one down since we're not going to use it. I'll hold them for a second. Alright, and I have put dimensionals on the back of this, so I'm going to peel these off. And now that I have glue on my finger, everything's going to stick to it, even the dimensional backings. Okay. Yeah, so like we said, we decided we were going here, so I'm going to push it over to about that point, and then just press down my dimensionals. Let's go ahead and glue this little guy down. Just put a little dot of glue there. Okay. Now, the flower that I put on here, I just basically found a sheet of the designer paper and just cut the flower that I wanted off the sheet. So we're just going to pop it right on here. Put a little glue. And I think I want my leaves going up. Or you could, you know, turn it this way if you wanted to, but I think in this case I like it going up. Alright, so that goes right there. Okay, there's our card. And see, you just slip this out of the little tab and slip it back in there to close it up. I hope you like this card and maybe you'll try it. So please subscribe, like, and share my video. And if you need a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. I'll have links to all the supplies I use down below, and also a link to a free tutorial where you have all the measurements and some printed instructions. If you need a demonstrator, that's me. If you need a team leader, that's me too. So until next time, happy crafting.